Hey friends, I'm Andrew. This is Code Gets Creative. It's been a minute. I think we haven't done this for about 3 months now, so it's good to be back. Life has been kind of crazy in the interim, but yeah, it's good to be back, like doing the streaming video thing. Yeah, hope everybody had a good like holiday break and holiday season in like November and December. We're like back in the swing of things with like work stuff and family stuff, so that's cool. Other new stuff that has happened around here is robots. We got more robots, so that's good. Let me show you what I mean. What you're looking at there is a robotic Etch-a-Sketch that you can send it instructions and it will draw all over a piece of paper, just like an Etch-a-Sketch, except it's a robotic mechanized one. So that's what that's all about. There's a lot of really beautiful generative art out there, especially on Instagram and Twitter, that's made by pen plotters like that AxiDraw. So excited to have one now. So today we're gonna do kind of a short stream, just for me to get back into the swing of things, and we're gonna make some pen plotter art. Should be really cool. Let me grab some stuff. I've got my Masonite board that you just saw. And then I've got a piece of nice 9x12 paper, and I'm gonna use these little binder clips to clip it all together. So everything lines up. I'm taking the time to do this on the stream so y'all can kind of see how it's done. You know, you can like see the process beginning to end. I think that might be cool. And also because I was in a little bit of a hurry today to get started, so I didn't have everything totally ready to go. But yeah, this is a big part of the process. So grab your paper, you've got it all clipped into the corner. So this is going to be x equals 0, y equals 0 right here. So let's do a little bit of generative art. I've got an idea that is pretty simple, but I think it'll be a cool one. There's a piece of hair, we gotta take care of it. We must take care of the hair. There, okay, we're good, we're safe. So yeah, I've got an idea for a quick generative piece that I think is simple, but kind of cool and elegant. So let's talk about what that'll look like. We'll fire up Excalidraw. What do we have in here? We've got like all the Screep stuff up here and some more generative art, like doing some trigonometry. Here's basically what I want to do. Oh, here's what I want to do. Basically, I want to have like a sine wave that'll look kind of like this, right? We've got our sine wave, but I want that to be negative space. So the canvas is going to kind of fill this area. And let's see, I want this to be, I want it to be more like a portrait orientation. So imagine that. And then let's get rid of the background. So we've got our sine wave. I actually want to have everything except for the sine wave be filled in. So let's pretend that there's like an invisible margin right here. Maybe we can signify that like this. So we've got this dotted line that kind of represents where the piece is going to end. But basically, I want to draw a bunch of lines that look like this. So we've got a line and a line, and I'm not going to take the time to like go all the way across, but I think you'll kind of get the idea of what I want to do. We are just going to follow this wave as it goes up and down. So we're going to end up with this cool kind of, you know, maybe we'll do a few more just to illustrate. Yeah, and then when we remove this, we're gonna have this like cool sine wave shape that's sort of cut out of these lines. Yeah, I'm being lazy. You understand what I'm talking about though. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. In order to do that, I've got some code kind of fired up in a little framework for doing pen plots. Let me show you kind of this is like a really silly one. Actually, let me show you a nice one. I'll show you a nice one. This is something I'm working on for work. It takes a 4 or 5 seconds to load each time, so give it a minute. But yeah, this is inspired by P.A. Mondrian and early 20th century art, and then it has the Podium logo. I work for a software company in Lehi, Utah called Podium. Cool company, by the way. Look them up. But yeah, the idea is it puts this logo in front of this cool design. And I can hit refresh and it'll think for a minute and draw another design based on my code. Yeah, and there you go. Density is a little different. The composition of these little container boxes is different. But yeah, a lot of it kind of stays the same as well. So yeah, that's that. We've got this framework kind of coded up. It's written in Paper.js, which has been a really useful framework. We've done P5.js before. And P5 works really great if you want to render to a screen, like if you want to put it in a canvas object and then turn it into a PNG file and use it digitally, then it works great for that. But P5 does not have the ability to send your art to a machine, like a pen plotter. And so I've switched to this other framework called Paper.js, and that lets me export a .svg file. And so then I can take that, send it to the machine, and it'll be able to plot it for me and actually turn it into something physical. So that's cool. What I'm going to do is we're going to grab the templates, extras template. Oh, we need to create a folder first. So we're going to say, make a directory called sketches slash, what should we call it? We'll call it like wave space or something like that. Okay. And then we could copy my template into wave space. There we go. So now if I come over here, oh, and I should go add to my home page. Swooshes. I've got a bunch of like rough ideas here that need to turn into more, and the stream is going to help me do that in part because you all will be my running buddies. But yeah, we're off to a really good start with some of this other stuff. So here's wave space on the home page. There it is. If I click on that, here's our beautiful looking template. That's cool. The other thing that we'll need to do right off the bat, let's duplicate this, is we need to go to this dimension calculator that I wrote. And we're working on 9 by 12 inch paper. That's what we're working on. So this is gonna help us choose a width and height for our sketch, like in pixels. And we don't have to stress about like, oh, there's not enough pixels, it's not sharp enough, because our pen plot the important thing is the code. So yeah, 600 by 800. I believe that's actually the default for my sketch, for my template. So let's go into here and double check. Let's move this over to here so we can see two files at once. And you'll notice that we've got the canvas width is 600 pixels, height is 800 pixels, so that's great. Cool, and that's rendering. We've got that border already. I think it would be nice if we shrunk it a little bit, so we'll change that. Cool, and then our sine wave can go right in the middle of there, and the lines will connect to it. So let's start by drawing the sine wave itself so that we know that we're calculating those positions correctly. And then we'll delete that later, but we'll have the same formula so that we can draw the lines to the correct positions. So in order to do that, we're also going to want to open up the Paper.js reference. So let's grab this. And this is going to tell us what we need. We are going to create a path. And there are, yeah, we're going to be doing move to and line to, basically. Okay, so we have this draw function, and basically everything goes in here. And then we can start to decompose it into smaller helper functions as we go. So let's create a variable called wave, and that is going to be a new paper.path. Click a thing really quick. We have our wave, and we need to say move to, and let's just kind of hard code this for a minute. We'll say x equals 50, y equals 50, something like that. And then we could say dot line to 100 comma 100. You bet. We need to be able to see it, so we need to give it a stroke color, and let's do kind of a gray color to remind us that we're going to delete it. Something like that. So if I go back to our sketch, then we have drawn this very tiny gray line right there. Perfect. So now we got to make a function that is going to like draw. Basically, I'm just going to sample across the canvas width, and that should work great. So we'll make a wave, we'll move to here, and then we're going to do a line to a bunch of other places. I'm going to do classical for loop, and then we can make it fancier later. Let's say x equals 50. X is less than or equal to, it's the canvas width minus content padding. And as a matter of fact, this number is also content padding. So maybe we should change that now. And then we'll say x plus equals, and let's create a variable for this too. We can call it something like sample rate, something like that. And we'll say like 10 pixels. We can crank this up to have more resolution later. Okay, so we have that. And as a matter of fact, we're starting on content padding, but really we have to move to that position first. So let's actually say content padding plus sample rate. And we're basically skipping that very first dot. We're beginning within the for loop on that second dot as we sample through. So now we got line to x comma something. So maybe we'll just do 50 for now. And you'll see that this looks very boring. Oh, hold on. I got this sign wrong. That should be less than or equal to. But when I refresh this, oh, then we're not going to see anything actually. Let's actually draw like right across the center of the screen. So let's do like const y center, and this is the canvas height times 0.5, right? So we got the height. We're going to divide that in half. Maybe we'll write it that way to make that easy to see. Okay, so then y center is where we move to at the beginning, and then line to, we'll also use that. Okay, so when I refresh this, we expect to see our border, and then we expect to see a gray line that goes exactly across the center of our canvas. And it didn't work, we broke it. Uncaught syntax error. Oh, you can't see this in my tools, there we go. Import not found, sample rate. And we've got that here, but we didn't save our work here. Cool, so we saved it, refresh, and there we go. We've got our line going across. So that's great. So now this is our chance to create a wave. So let's say like wave value, maybe like wave amplitude. That's not correct. wave y, something like that. We'll give it an x value. And it's going to be like sine math.sine of x times something. And it's times something else. So let's make up some variables for this. We can do like wave amplitude. And so this is going to be the distance above the center line and below the center line. We can just pick a number for now. Let's do 100, say. And then we want to do another one for wave. We can either do the period of the wave or the frequency of the wave. So let's do the period of the wave. That's easy to reason about. And it's 600 pixels across minus that padding times 2. I don't know. Let's do, honestly, let's just do 100 as well. And that gets us starting. And then we can tweak it and probably use pi in there so that it's like a perfect number of periods through. Okay. So x times something, this should be wave period, and then this should be wave amplitude. And let's see, it imported the one but not the other. So there they are. Is this actually divided by? Yes, it is divided by. Okay. Well, if we want to do period, it should actually be times math.pi divided by the wave period. Let's make sure. Let's see. Let's look at a unit circle. So if we've got a circle, we're going around our circle, and this is 0, this is 2 pi, this is 0, this is 2 pi right here. And so let's see, the sine of 2 pi is 0. We want this position to be like zeroed out. It should be a 0 crossing going upward. Oh my gosh, it is Saturday and I'm not thinking clearly. Honestly, I'm just gonna hit refresh and we're gonna make it run and then we're gonna make it correct. We've talked about this before on the channel. So the way that we can use this now, we've got Y center. And let's see, we actually need that as a constant now. Wave Y center. And this will be the canvas height divided by 2. So notice how we're just grabbing this and we're moving it into constants. So now we can delete that. But now what we can do is we can say y start. So let me move my mic a bit. Y start is equal to wave y of content padding. We're shifted. Our wave is going to start not at 0. We could. So let's actually start from 0. So when we talk about our wave, it's going to go from 0. But then when we actually draw our wave, we're going to offset it. So content padding right here. Then this is going to be y start. Now we're going to end up actually with wave y center based on this equation. But then right here, we should be able to say let x equals sample rate. And we're going to make screen x. This is really x plus content padding. And let's see, then we need like an x end, and this is going to be equal to canvas width minus content padding times 2. So we're going from here, well, we're going from this x value to this x value, but in the like abstract code that we're writing, we're going to shift it over. So it's from x equals 0 to right here, which is the canvas width minus 2 times the padding. So that's what that's all about. So then I can put this here. Okay. And then we should be able to say screen y equals wave y of x. And let's see, this does not apply the center. So we'll do that here. There we go. I'm not being consistent with like the way I'm putting x and y before or after, so we'll switch that. Okay, and I think at this point we are good to go. So what this should do is it's going to draw a sine wave starting at that border and go up and down until it hits the end. And we broke it. The import was not found. Okay. What did it say? Wave y center is not found? Ah, no, I didn't save it once again. Cool. Refresh the page and look at that. Okay, so we mostly got it right. This is centered around the correct place. This is starting at y equals 0, apparently. Yeah, and sure enough, we're doing this like wave y center right here, so we just need to do the same here. And there we go. We have our wave. So now that we have that, we should be able to start tweaking this stuff. For example, I think the wave is too tall, so we can like do that a little bit. And then if we speed up the wave, yep, there we go, we can fit more in there. And now I think we're not sampling it enough, so it's a very like choppy shaped wave. So let's turn this into like sample rate equals 2, something like really fine grained. And now that looks really good, really crisp. Okay. And we did actually get our math right. You'll notice that it's always the correct number of waves going across, or at least based on the period values that we chose. So that's cool. Now let's draw some sine waves, or let's draw some lines to and from that. So maybe we should do something like export const debug wave equals true. So then we can say if we're debugging the wave, then actually draw all this stuff here. And we'll kind of, I think we can move all of this actually. So we define a wave as a paper object, right? Paper.path object. We move it to where it should be started, and then we draw it to where it's going. See both files, refresh, and it looks identical. But now we can come back over here and say actually don't debug the wave, and it all goes away. So that's cool. Let's put that back though. Bring this back. And now after we debug the wave, this is where we're going to draw our lines. So let's do like, hold on a second, gotta do a thing. This like, you remember how I'm like using that thing. I just realized that whenever I switched to my smartphone, you couldn't hear any of my microphone. I like just realized that. Okay, this stream is really pretty rough. Sorry about that, everybody. I will make a note of that. My OBS scene is just missing the camera, or missing the microphone input. It's just like, there's no microphone, there's no background music, it just like dies. Oh, production values. What was I even going to say about the pen plotter? Now that I realized that, I'm like, ugh. This is so funny. I remember the first 1 or 2 streams that I did, and it was like funky mistakes like this too. So like I'm back to square one. I don't know if I like this whole like smartphone as a camera thing. But also like I just made a bunch of mistakes. Like I can fix this. Whatever. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching now or in the future. Okay. So let's do something like line period. And so we're basically saying every X number of pixels we should draw a line. So I don't know, let's say 10 for now. So we've got that. And now we're going to do something really similar here. Okay. Line period. So we're gonna start on line period. Actually, no, we want to start on. Yeah, we do. And then we're going to say x is less than or equal to. It needs to be less than or equal to. It's very similar to this, actually. It's basically like canvas width minus 2 times the padding minus line period. So we need to subtract those few pixels before the border. And then we're going to say x plus equals line period. Now, I know I'm like kind of jumping a bunch in terms of my logic here. Let's walk through it now that we've written some code. So we've got another for loop here. We're saying we're going to have an x value that starts at line period. So that doesn't start here plus line period, it's really like here, right? But we're going to do the same thing that we did before, where we shift from the abstract value to the real screen value. And that makes the math easier to think about with the sine wave. And so we do something like const x screen is equal to x plus content padding. So notice how like line 36 and line 43 are identical. So that's cool. Now what we can do is we can say new paper.path.line, if I remember correctly. Let's go check in our reference. Yes, this is what we want. Path.line from someplace to someplace and some other settings. And then we'll say like the stroke color should be black and the stroke width should be 0.5 once again. Okay, so there's going to be like a Y start. We can just hard code that really. Let's say content padding, comma, or no, sorry, that's the Y value. So X screen, comma, content padding. So it's like up at the top. and then we're going to draw it downward. So X screen, we're going to reuse that X value, and then we're going to go down, so our Y value gets higher. And for now, let's just draw it to the very center of our screen. So that's wave Y center, right? Halfway down. And what that should do is we'll get a bunch of lines starting at the top and then drawing down to the center here. And I broke it. For the same reason as before, I didn't save my work. There we go. Okay, cool. So that is working correctly. Now we just need to get it to follow this sine wave. So it's going to look pretty similar to this. You have Y screen, wave Y of X. That's right, because we're starting at 0 basically. Plus wave Y center. Yes, that should be correct. Cool. So I think that's all that we need. And sure enough, it goes right down to there. Cool. Okay. So if I turn off debugging this wave, it looks like this. And that's pretty cool, I think. I would like to just double check that we're drawing the correct number of lines. So maybe what we should do, line X, and I just want to see these happen. Here's a bunch of values. It starts at 60, which would be this 50 plus 10, so that's good. And then it ends at 540, is that 60 minus, or 600 minus this 50 minus another 10. So that all adds up. That's perfect. So we're drawing the lines correctly. Or we're drawing the correct number of lines. Okay, so that's cool. I think there should be more. So let's just scale that. Okay, and that's starting to be a thing. And now we can start to think a little bit more about composition. I think what I'm gonna do, so I like the idea of going down just like 30%. So we'll only draw some really short lines, and a lot of this piece will be blank. I think it'll look really cool, and it will also plot much faster. So let's do that. So here's where we've got that wave Y center. Right here, if we're dividing the canvas by 2, that's the same as multiplying it by 0.5, right? So I refresh this, it looks identical. But now what we can do is it's really easy to change this to like 30% instead of 50%. And that looks like this. Maybe it would also look cool to do like 70%, which plots slower. But I think that looks cool. We could also draw from the bottom up to that. That might look really cool. Obviously, we can just like design it one way and then rotate it around the other way. Let's just very quickly try this. So this would be I'm gonna do a refactor here. Let's see. Y top and Y bottom. This should look identical. Oh yeah, sorry, I changed this. Okay, but now it's pretty easy to see our logic, right? So we could grab white top and move that here. And then right here, we could say canvas height minus content padding. And now we've switched it. And I think that looks really cool. I think this is what we should do. I am also gonna change the amplitude just a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And I think this is cool. I think this is maybe our piece. So, I think we're ready to save this and send it to the AxiDraw. So, I've written up a little bit of code that does that for us. We do need to check our work though on it. Yeah, we've got some things hard coded here. So, when I click the save button, it's going to export the Paper.js project as an SVG. And this is actually like an SVG node. So we've got like an XML object. And we're actually gonna make some manual tweaks to it. And we're gonna say, hey, the width of this thing is 9 inches, and the height is 12 inches. So that's that. And then we'll actually save it to a file here. And that lives down here. Okay. So when I click this, we'll say, actually, if I open with Firefox, then here we've opened it up and you can actually inspect this and you can see that like all of this information has been preserved. This isn't a PNG file, this is an SVG file. And so each of these paths is an instruction that we can send to the AxiDraw. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's save it again. And we're gonna put this in code, visual art, plotter sketches, save space, make an export folder. Yeah, and I like to do this where I'll include the date. And it's what, is it the 29th today? Yeah. There we go. So that is exported now. So, okay, I want to plot this. I would really like to not lose my microphone this time. So I think I'm going to very quickly make some edits to OBS on the fly. So copy this. Hopefully you all can still hear me. You probably lost the background music. But if I switch back to here, system audio, copy, paste. Okay, so I think everything should be back now. Right? I'm here. I'm seeing 2 volume bars. I'm here. Okay, sweet. We're in business. Thank you, everybody, for your patience with technical difficulties today. Let's actually plot this thing, though. So let's move our microphone a little bit so you can still hear me as I make some edits or do stuff with the plotter. I'll come over to here. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get this out of the way, and I'm gonna grab a pen. These are Staedtler pigment liners. Hopefully this will focus, come on. There we go. They're different sizes. Today we're gonna do the 0.5 millimeter size. That should look good. As soon as I get the production values up a little bit, we'll be able to get into a little bit more detail with all this stuff. Okay, but I've got this pen and I'm going to attach it to the plotter. And I'm also gonna scribble just a little bit on a piece of paper over here so that I can get it started. Switch over to here now. What I'm doing now is I am moving this into position, getting it pretty close, and I'm clamping in 10. I want the pen to be roughly a 1/4 inch above the canvas. Can't see that super well on. You have to trust me. And I'm using this sticky note so that I can draw on it and make sure that writing and that the X and Y values are correct. That looks good. That is lined up. That's the origin that you see there. That's X equals 0, Y equals 0. It's facing that direction, so that's the top of our canvas there. So I do this. Make sure that we're rotated correctly. And a little bit. Put that back in here. Okay. And I think we should be ready to plot at this point. So I'm going to switch over to here. Our plotter sketches. Okay, so I just ran enable motors. So I can hear that the AxiDraw is turned on, woken up. It's ready to do stuff. And now we need to make a quick edit to, let's see, let me put my my microphone back into position. But now at this point, I need to make a quick edit to bin/plot, which is over here. I'm going to say Axi CLI, so that's the AxiDraw's command line tools. I'm going to say go find this file, wave space, export, and this is sketch on the 29th. Okay, so this basically is going to say send it this SVG file and then plot it. And I always like to kind of double check. Got our SVG file. Width is 9 inches, height is 12 inches, so I think we're good there. Okay, I think we're ready. Then plot. I'm going to switch over to here. That looks like a potato, but we'll get to still see it move. So here we go. Oh, hold on. Gotta focus my mouse. Okay, I'm gonna hit bin plot. Boom. Beautiful. So we're drawing the border first, right? And then we're drawing each of those vertical lines. Looking good over there. Here's what it looks like digitally, right? So you've got each of those from the bottom. I switch back over to here. You can see it going to town. There's something really cool about seeing this happen physically. There are all these little physical artifacts that happen when you draw this with a pen plotter that you obviously wouldn't see if this was just on screen, if it was a PNG file. There's little imperfections that come from the pen, like the ink doesn't come out 100% consistently, the paper has a little bit of texture to it, ink runs out over time, that kind of thing. And so all of that comes out in these pieces. And so it's this mix of very synthetic and very organic at the same time. It's not drawn by a human, right? It's too precise to be drawn by a human, but it still has these imperfections. And there's something beautiful about that. So that's really cool. It looks like a potato right now. You're gonna have to believe me that it looks really crisp and awesome. I can see it in real life, and it does. But as soon as this is finished plotting, I'll be able to take it off of the Masonite board and hold it up to the nice camera, and you'll be able to see what that looks like. It's just crossing over half of the canvas at this point. You can see it only takes a few minutes to plot these designs. If we had a more complex design, it would take quite a bit longer. But for something like this, there's a low number of lines. They're fairly short. If we wanted to optimize this, we could. One of the things that we could do, notice how the plotter keeps kind of rewinding, like it'll move upwards and then lower the pen and move downwards. And so it's wasting an extra movement across the y-axis every time it draws a line. And so what we could do, one thing that we could do is we could write our code so that every other line draws downward and then the other lines draw upward. Like odd numbered lines draw down, even numbered lines draw up. And that way it only has to move a slight distance on the x-axis, but it doesn't move along the y-axis. That would kind of solve our problem for us. But honestly, with a plot like this where there's not too much to draw, we can afford to wait a little bit for it to do its whole like VHS rewinding thing. We are just about done, you can see. There's something very satisfying, even just about watching the plotter move. Just very soothing. If you type in like pen plotter art in YouTube, then you can find channels. In fact, if you type in chill plot, there are some channels that will just like load up a piece of art and then draw it over the course of like 30 minutes or an hour, these more complex pieces. And it's really beautiful. It's fun to just watch it go. Okay, so we just finished. That's awesome. Let me grab it off of the board. And let's also disable the motors while we're thinking about it. So I'll say bin/disable motors. And then I will grab that canvas. Okay, and I've got it here. And this is what we have created. Let that focus. I love the synthetic and the organic combo that's happening here. Looks so good. You can see like, you know, little artifacts. Where's my finger? Little artifacts of like where the pen starts and stops. But also this like crisp machine precision at drawing these sine waves. I like it. So there you go. And we have to decide, like, do you display it this way? Do you display it this way? I think I like it this orientation the most. But yeah, very cool. Okay. Anyway, we are gonna call it here. Set this down on the ground. Yeah, we're gonna call it here. Thank you for tuning in either on the stream or in the future in video format. And we will be back shortly with more Code Gets Creative. Again, I'm Andrew. Stay creative. Thanks, everybody.